She once wore the cloth of the nation, then traded it out for a habit, a veil, and a higher calling. Sister Maris Stella Karalekas is a graduate of the US Naval Academy and served 5 years as a surface warfare officer on a Navy destroyer. Then she met the Sisters of Life, and her own life took an unexpected turn. And joining us tonight is Sister Maris Stella of the Sisters of Life in Denver. Sister Maris, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I know that you say that during those hundreds of days at sea on the naval destroyer, the Blessed Sacrament was on board with you, and you were stirred to do really something great and meaningful beyond what you were already doing. Can you talk to us more about that time in your life?
Oh, sure. Yeah, those were great days when I was in the Navy. And, they say that Aquinas tells us that grace builds on nature and perfects nature. So I think being a naval officer, I had a desire to do something great with my life, sacrifice and service, but ultimately giving my life to Christ, it was the greatest offering I could give and what Jesus was really inviting me to. And so and during my times of prayer, I really heard that invitation from the Lord and knew it was the fulfillment of all my desires.
Yeah, you really felt that call from God. It's so wonderful. And then you met the Sisters of Life. Tell us about that moment and what struck out the most about their way of life and their mission to you.
Yeah, when I met our community, I couldn't believe it existed in the church and in the world. It was everything I was seeing in my own heart being lived out, and this respect we have for the dignity of every human life, and proclaiming that people shouldn't be loved for what they do, achieve, or produce, but for who they are. And our work with on behalf of human life. Serving women who are pregnant and in difficult situations, and our hope and healing mission are just such profound messages that are needed for our world today. And the sisters, our prayer life is exactly what my heart was being shaped for, this Eucharistic adoration. I knew that this was the place where my heart would meet the heart of Christ.
It's so beautiful. You mentioned, one of the main missions of your order is to tend to pregnant women. What does that look like for you and your fellow sisters, maybe on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. First of all, it all begins with prayer. Without our Lord and the Eucharist, we would have nothing to give, nothing to offer. So our times of prayer really strengthen us and nourish us and give us the grace we need to serve others. But we serve women in a variety of different ways. We have a convent where pregnant women live with us, and they'll come to us when they're pregnant and stay for maybe 6 months to a year after their babies are born. And then we also serve hundreds of women who we meet in a variety of different ways, and who are needing all kinds of different support in order to be able to choose life for their children. And we know so often that when women experience being loved for who they are, they can choose life for their children. And when they know the gift of their own lives, they're able to have the courage to choose life for their own children.
Yeah. And what is that like for you, working with them?
Oh, it's such a tremendous privilege. I see women making heroic choices for life, despite obstacles, despite all the struggles they may be having. It's the natural desire of a woman's heart to choose life and to give life. And so women, when fear is moved aside and they're supported and surrounded in love, I see so many women making heroic and beautiful choices. And it's a privilege to witness it.
That's incredible. I do want to ask you something about the name you chose. Tell us about the significance of that, the special meaning there, and why you chose it.
Sure, I've always had a love for the Blessed Mother. I consecrated my life to Jesus through Mary after the day after my first Holy Communion when I was a child, and so I've always been devoted to Our Lady. And I believe that she really won my vocation and protected my vocation. And I came across this title of Mary, Star of the Sea, while I was serving in the Navy, and I just love this image. And it turns out that I discovered that this is the name that God wanted me to take in honor of our Blessed Mother, and as an image of life. Like the church is this ship that goes through the seas of life, and sometimes it's dark and stormy, but Our Lady is this guiding light that guides us to the safe home, the harbor of her Son. So that's my name, Maris Stella, Star of the Sea, as she's the guiding light that leads us home to Christ.
So beautiful. We have maybe about a minute, little less than a minute left, but anything else that you would like to share with our audience, and maybe about vocation as well?
Sure, yeah, vocation is the greatest gift that you could imagine. If you only knew the gift of God, So if God is calling you, take courage, receive that gift. And I also like to speak a special word to any woman out there who may be suffering after the experience of abortion. We invite you to seek the Lord's healing. God's mercy is so great, and there's no sin too great for God's mercy. And so, we on our website, sistersoflife.org, we have a special page for our Hope and Healing mission for any woman who might be interested in knowing more about that and seeking greater healing in the Lord. And also, any woman who might be pregnant and tempted to abortion, it would be our honor and our privilege to serve these women. And so, we extend ourselves and open our hearts and know that we are praying for you, and we are would love to speak with you and get to know you.
Sister, thank you so much for saying that. You never know who's watching and who needs to hear that message right now. So thank you. Thank you for all that you do. It was an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much, and God bless you.